من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Youth Forum with me, the host, SYED WAFIQ ABIDI, as always having the pleasure to serving you. Today's topic is about death. Now death is the only certainty in this uncertain life, and we as the followers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Muslims should try to strive and make sure we are ready for death and the akhirah, because this world is a trial for the akhirah, and inshallah we look at it as a challenge, and inshallah we are ready for Jannah as well. I'm joined as always by my very knowledgeable and very talented guests. My first guest is the knowledgeable Sayyid Ja'far Al-Hashimi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And my next guest is the renowned reciter and poet Sayyid Zagham Ali Shan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. And obviously making his return to the show is Sayyid Haziq Abidi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam.
And Brother Ja'far, you have the Quran tilawah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم القارعة ما القارعة وما أدراك ما القارعة يوم يكون الناس كالفراش المبثوث وتكون الجبال كالأحن المنفوش فأما من ثقلت موازينه فهو في عيشة راضية
ما شاء الله.
وأما من خفت موازينه فأمه هاوية وما أدراك ما هي نار حامية صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Beautiful recitation there by Sayyid Ja'far. Now, Brother Zagham, as I said before at the start, death is the only certainty. And, a lot of things, it's natural to fear death. Why is it so, common to fear death, and should it be feared?
Death is a certainty in our life, just like you said. Now, the only reason why people would be scared or afraid of death is because they are not aware of what's going to happen. I'll give an example. If there were two rooms, a room illuminated, let's call it a white room, and a room with no light inside, let's call it a black room, who would choose the room? What would be the most preferred room? Would it be the white room or the black room? You would go to the white room because you can see everything, whilst in the black room you can't see anything.
No racism intended.
Fear only comes from not seeing and not knowing what's going to happen. Therefore, this is why people are scared, because they don't take the initiative. They don't know what's going to happen in the afterlife, because they are scared. If you tell someone that, are you scared of the afterlife? They say yes. You ask them why? They go, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in my grave. Some question themselves that, am I going to be alive? Am I going to be dead? Am I actually going to go somewhere? Or if you believe in no God at all, you'll say that's just the end of life and there's no purpose. Now, should we be afraid of death? No. Now we take the example of Ali ibn Abi Talib. If you read Nahj al-Balagha, in one of his sermons, you can see that in one of the wars that he was fighting in the battle, a soldier he was attacking and he was in combat with, out of frustration he said, Ali, give me your sword. Ali, with kindness like he is, gave his sword. He laughed at Ali ibn Abi Talib and said, what you going to do? You have no sword, you can't defend yourself. Ali replies, death is my greatest enemy, yet my greatest friend.
MashaAllah.
Now what do you mean? How can something be your greatest enemy, yet your greatest friend? He goes, death is my greatest enemy, because if death comes, nothing in this world can save me. But it is my greatest friend, because if death doesn't come, nothing in this world can take me away. Just like Ali ibn Abi Talib found death as his greatest friend, we should make it our greatest friend by learning about it and not being afraid. Why should we be afraid? When we die, we go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allah is the most merciful. We say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. The most beneficent and the most merciful.
MashaAllah.
Rasulullah, I think Ja'far touched upon this point last week, if you remember the show. Rasulullah, when he was passing away, may Allah bless his soul and his family. Rasulullah, when he was passing away, the angel of death came to Rasulullah and said, didn't say anything. He came to Rasulullah and was taking his soul. Rasulullah said to the angel of death that this pain I feel, this pain that you're taking my soul away from my body, will every single person feel this pain? The angel of death said, yes, Rasulullah. This pain, everybody will feel it. Rasulullah says, I do not want the people to feel this pain. Oh angel, all the mu'mineen and mu'minat, give me their pain to me now so that they don't suffer. So why don't we become mu'mineen and mu'minat, Rasulullah want, and we won't feel any pain or suffering.
MashaAllah. So yeah, so the question of, the pain side of death is out of order if you obviously follow, if you're a true believer and follow the ways of the Prophet. But it's the fear of the unknown more than anything. And obviously we have to prepare ourselves, because that's the only certainty, as I said before as well. So Brother Ja'far, how can we prepare ourselves against the uncertainty of this world?
Well, first of all, I'd like to give an example from which I heard from a lecturer, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He said there are 6 or 8 things, I can't remember, was it 6 or 8?
8 things.
There were the 8 things that call upon me as I wake up in the morning, and one of them was Malak al-Maut for his soul, meaning death. So that's the first thing that he remembers in his morning. Now, obviously, when I wake up, I just go on my phone and stuff like that. But
text WAFIQ,
yeah. But you see, we try to put priorities. If you see death as the first thing, obviously it's inevitable, so we have to put that as number 1. So because you know where you're going to go to, you need to know where you're going to go to.
Yeah.
Now, to kind of take away the pain or understand death more, you can do Salat al-Layl, which is recommended by everyone. And there's, I think, 11 rak'ah. You can do 1 rak'ah or 11 rak'ah. It depends on what you want to do. But some of the effects of Salat al-Layl are, it purifies the heart, meditation.
Inshallah.
The uncertainty will be certainty, because if you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He'll give His blessing upon you, and it will be a certain thing. It reduces depression, raises the hope, whitens the heart and the face, and qualifies the person to be in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you are performing Salat al-Layl every single night, it's going to be hard for the first 2 months, because Shaitan is trying to see, he sees you doing Salat al-Layl, is like, oh, this guy is doing something new, I need to pull him away from this new thing, rather than going on the main 5 pillars of Islam. Salah, for example, the 5 salahs, if he goes on that, it's harder, but if he goes on Salat al-Layl with something you're starting new, it's easy. So starting with Salat al-Layl is a good idea to overcome the uncertainty of this world.
That's obviously very amazing, to be honest, because our religion has the answer to everything. If you are uncertain about things, or if you're worried about what's going to come, Salat al-Layl is one of the answers. Pray, and the way forward will be much clearer. Do you have anything to add to it, Brother Hazard?
Let's talk about the topic, how can we deal with uncertainty in this world? Let's define what uncertainty is for other people.
Bismillah.
The states of being unsure of something, that's uncertainty. So this could be our future, our present, and everything in between. A simple reply to a person that's maybe asking how can we deal with uncertainty is by being closest to Allah as possible. A pious person does not fear any uncertain obstacles that may come across. A logical person, a logical person will rather look at what is certain rather than what's uncertain. So what is certain in our life, what's certain for every single existence, is death. And the Quran, it states in Surah Al-Imran, verse 185, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ وَإِنَّمَا تُوَفَّوْنَ أجوركم يوم القيامة فمن زحزح عن النار وأدخل الجنة فقد فاز وَمَا الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاءُ الْغُرُورِ.
MashaAllah.
Jazakallah
MashaAllah,
khair.
MashaAllah.
And the rough translation of this is, every soul will taste death, and you will only be given your full compensation on the day of resurrection. So he is drawn away from the fire and admitted to paradise has attained his desire. And what is the life of this world except the enjoyment of delusion? The last line, what's this life of this world except for the enjoyment of the delusion? Now, how do we prepare ourselves for the uncertain or our death? Best way to do it is by detaching yourself from this world. So trying to move away from the attraction, try to limit our connection with this world and our love for this world.
Dunya, basically. Yeah.
Indeed. And a beautiful hadith from was saying from Imam Ali from Nahj Balagha 7.3 Shaykh Shaqiyya, when he talks about his negative affairs of the caliphate, he compares how much the world is worth to him. He says the world is worth less than the sneezing of a goat. Now, how relevant is this to you, sneezing of a goat? It's not relevant at all, and that's how we're supposed to make this world.
It's like Ali ibn Abi Talib, we were talking about it before in Hawza. Ali ibn Abi Talib is the character who said, if you uncover all the barriers between me and Allah, and just all the barriers in this world, it will not increase my iman.
Ahsantum.
Reached that level already.
Yeah. Continuing on from that, Qasim ibn Hassan ibn Ali, when he was the martyr of Karbala, how he compared death. Death is sweeter than honey. And for us, a death is a fearful concept, is it not?
Yeah.
If you think about death, the only thing that will come across is fear, and you're frightened of the fact that you are going to be finished, we're going back to the start of the stage. Exactly. And for a pious person like these, the people of the Ahl al-Bayt, the people of the household, the status of death is sweeter than honey, and we must strive to be like that and become a pious person. And I think that pretty much covers the
Yeah, and obviously, talking about the importance of death as well. Not only is death like a gateway to the next world, death is also like the most obviously as I said before, is certain. And we need to prepare, and obviously the guests, mashallah, have gave us a lot of advice and ways that we can prepare. And I think as like a whole of ummah, I think we are undermining the importance of the akhirah.
A lot of people are, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said, when people die, they are awoken. There's a lot of people who are asleep in this dunya, for being distracted by money, wealth, all this.
attracted by this.
And when they die, they see reality, they are awoken. So that's something to consider.
Yeah.
Open your eyes now, rather than on the day of judgment.
Because obviously this world is like really temporary, and you might feel like really long, but in terms of how long the akhirah is, it is obviously like much shorter in this world, because as I said last week as well, there's 50 checkpoints, and each checkpoint takes 1,000 years to cross, so 50,000 years.
And that might not even be our time.
Yeah, that might not even be our time, exactly. So
And from Nahj Balagha, a hadith from Imam Ali 442, if you want to research it, we talk about the pleasure of this world. Remember that pleasure will pass away while the consequences will stay. So telling us, don't get attracted by 60, 70, 80 years of enjoyment, fulfilling your desires for everlasting hellfire, basically. So try to run towards Allah, try to walk towards Allah, try to implement on your salah. That's the most important part. With your salah, everything else will come with it. True enough? So exactly. Make sure you're a pious person. Try to read the piety, and inshallah everything will become clear to you. And another hadith, I'm filled with hadiths today. Nahj Balagha 401. He mentioned, abstain from the world so that Allah may show you its real evils, and do not be neglectful, because in any case you will not be neglected.
mashallah.
So he's saying, abstain yourself from this world so Allah can show you its real evils. So the real evils is desire, the fulfillment of desire, the attraction to it. And if you abstain yourself, if you restrain yourself from this, if you restrain your own desires, your negative desires, Allah will show you a better way, and the better way is the akhirah.
If we look at the characters from the event of Karbala, now the tragedy of Karbala is probably the most influential part within our belief, within our whole history. We can just use the Battle of Karbala, which lasted a day, even less than a day, to change the thought and the logic of mankind. And this is Youth Forum. And if you just look at the youths of Karbala, he has touched upon one youth, Hazrat Qasim. How old was he? 13, 14 years old. Death is sweeter to me than honey. What a sentence. he is saying to his uncle Imam Hussein, an orphan child. Remember, Imam Hassan passed away a few months or a year before that. I don't know exactly in my Islamic history knowledge. That Hazrat Qasim is an orphan, and you can see all the others going into the battlefield and being killed.
Yeah.
And he said to his father, to his uncle, that death is sweeter to me than honey. Hazrat Ali Akbar, Hazrat Ali Asghar, Hazrat On, Hazrat Muhammad, the Christian man, Hazrat Wahab.
Abdul
Wahab or something.
Yeah, that the Christian man, he was young as well. He just got married.
These are all youth.
All youth. Now you asked a question. Youth who are not afraid of death. How did they became the 72? Because they weren't afraid of death. What they saw in front of them was not death, but a way to heaven.
A stepping stone, basically, to that life.
When you take away the equation of death in your life, what are you afraid of? What can the enemies, trick you with? What can shaitan trick you with?
Just stop you there. We got a caller. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, walaikum Islam.
Yes.
It's very nice to see the young faces on TV.
Thank you, brother. Can I get your name, please?
Raza from Manchester.
Raza from Manchester. Okay. Thank you, brother. What would you like to say?
It's my prayers and blessing and congratulations to all four of you.
Thank you, brother.
The way you are delivering the message of Aimma and forwarding it to the youth. It's really very nice to see.
Thank you so much,
I
brother.
wish you all best of luck.
Thank you so much,
And
brother.
to see more on UTV.
Thank you so
Alright.
much, brother.
Inshallah.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you. Thank you.
brother.
Allah
Okay.
salawat for Brother Raza.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I mean, that's nice to get a call, but it's sort of our duty, to spread in any way we can, spread.
A nice gesture that adds to the motivation for us to.
I mean, yeah, because we're spreading the name of Islam as well. I mean, I know, for example, you recite and then you spread it. You spread the message of Islam through recitation and poetry, and obviously Brother Haza, you write poetry as well, so that's.
Brother Jafar does videos as well.
Yeah, Brother Jafar, mashallah, he does
taking
a lot of So I mean, yeah, we're using the
All
modern
the resources,
technology
exactly.
and the modern resources to spread the word of Islam, and that's what we're trying to encourage other youth to do. Obviously, not everyone can present the show, but in any way they can. Yeah, you can still call in, share your poems or recite anything you want.
So going back to the youth, Hazrat Ali Akbar, Hazrat Ali Asghar, Hazrat On, Hazrat Muhammad. Now they were Masumeen. Does that make their level lower than they are at the moment? There was something beautiful my brother was talking to me the other day. He was saying, Imam Hussein, how big of a character was he? He was nothing, he was something big. Look at him now, 25 million, 30 million walk to Imam Hussein. But does that mean Hazrat Abbas is in Imam Hussein's shadow? No, Hazrat Abbas has his own, hierarchy and his own, obviously not higher, but his own, name, his own legacy. Same as Hazrat Ali Akbar. We don't say the son of Hussein, we say Hazrat Ali Akbar, who was the son of Imam Hussein. Why do we mention their names? Because they made a legacy. And this youth.
Yeah, we've got another call, sorry. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alishan speaking from Manchester. It looks very, very nice and beautiful that my four young stars are at the moment onto the what you can say on the screen, talking like the old ulama. It's very, very beautiful.
Yeah, no way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's very mature discussion you are doing. It was very sad for the community that they are not appreciating you and taking part properly and calling you like they are calling in other programs, and they are just taking you very lightly. No, they should have taken the future of the community and the future of the Shias very seriously, and they must call you and question you. And I request you at the end of my discourse that please, would you please in your discussions discuss about the character, about the participation of the youth in Karbala or in Islam and in the social and other aspects of Islam, how the youth build the Islam and how youth sacrifices at every corner and every time for Islam, so that Islam's foundation stood up, and then old people like me, they enjoy the fruit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hopefully it will continue, And most of my brothers who are in my age now will call you after WAFIQ. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Okay. Without further ado, let's answer the question of the gentleman who called us. Let's say he asked a question now, what was the youth participation? Don't think that the youth had no participation in Islam. Ali ibn Abi Talib, how old was he when he became the
12, 10, when he accepted Islam, he used
Yeah.
to talk about his status and then. And a modern day example was from Imam Khomeini, when the general asked him, where's your army? And he replied, he's in the laps on every single mother. So a revolution is built from the youngsters, from the modern day people. And everything, the foundation, the building blocks is from the youth, because they have the energy,
Yeah.
they have the motivation
I mean,
skills to do
most of the
something.
protests now, there's not a lot of, old
Exactly,
guys.
it's run by the
It's run by the youth now.
is by the
Yeah.
youngs. And talking about Karbala, as you said, we would like to continue on that top.
On Karbala, yes, the youth of Karbala. Now, just like Imam Khomeini, he was probably inspired by Karbala and the characters of the Ahlul Bayt. Ali ibn Abi Talib, how old was he? He was only like 31 or 33 when he was going to become an imam. At the time, that was very young. They would laugh and say, oh, Ali ibn Abi Talib, look, he's only 33, 31 years old. But that didn't change anything. He was Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Mashallah.
The youth of Medina and Mecca were the ones who spreaded Islam. Do you think all people could run on camels and fight?
Yeah.
No, it was the youth. Why did Rasulullah put so much emphasis on the youth even at that time? Because he knew the fathers and everybody in old age,
Mashallah.
they would have less chance of the youth who have open minds. So I say to the youth, just like Ayatollah Khamenei says, just like Ayatollah Sistani, just like every single other Ayatollah, Bashir al-Najafi, Ayatollah Muqaddam Shirazi, every single Ayatollah you can name have emphasized on the youth. Even in the Iranian Revolution, you can say, even in the war that's happening currently. These are contemporary things I'm saying. If you look back into history, if you want to go back into history, Karbala, what bigger example is that? That we mentioned so many youths at the moment. Why?
Ahsan.
Their participation was
The most
excelling
important,
and
exactly.
very important, and that's what we say. That's why we say participate in our program, because if you can't even participate and call into a program, how are you going to participate in the community?
How are you going to participate when
It's better obviously
comes?
Yeah, and how do you
We need to
expect
prepare, I mean-
how do you expect to join the army?
Exactly, yeah.
Because that's everyone's dreams.
Because the youth of this time will be the army of Imam Mahdi.
Yeah, mashallah. Yeah, so this was a beautiful discussion with my guests as well. And inshallah, after the break, we'll have some poems and some recitations as well from both Khazakh and Zaygam. And we'll talk generally. And we'll have the question of the week as well, inshallah. So make sure you call in and participate, as one of the callers was saying. And inshallah, we'll see you after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.